Morning, folks. It's May 23rd, 2018, about 7:30 in the morning. We're rolling into Townsend, Massachusetts. My friend Steve is behind me, and we're going to meet a friend, Jim, for breakfast at Cliff's Diner. And then I'm setting off on a 10,000-mile motorcycle tour of America.
Well, I can't tell you that story until I tell you this story. Carl was my cousin's husband. I've known him since they were dating in 1968 and I was in 8th grade. He's 4 years older than I am, and he'll tell you much better looking. 4 years is a lot at that age, but as I got older, we became good friends, and we shared a love of motorcycling. We spent a lot of years riding the back roads of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, all over the Northeast. On some of those trips, we talked about being old men someday and buying big touring bikes and riding cross country. In the summer of 2014, Carl called me and reminded me of some of those discussions. He said, you know, if we're ever going to do that, we're not getting any younger. We should probably think about doing it pretty soon. Carl was 64 at the time, and I was 60. But man, I was in. I immediately started route planning. Carl and I talked several times a week discussing the roads that we wanted to ride, and I set out to plan interesting rides between those roads. A trip was planned for June of 2015. Originally, I thought I would ride my Suzuki Intruder 1500 LC, but I decided I wanted something with cruise control for the trip. Search for a touring bike began. I ended up finding a 2002 Kawasaki Voyager 12 with 19,000 miles on it. I purchased the bike, and I was all ready to go. There was only one problem. I was crippled. I couldn't even get my leg over a motorcycle. That's right, I was crippled, or disabled if you prefer. So what the hell was I doing planning a motorcycle trip when I couldn't even ride a motorcycle? The short answer is, I have no idea. My only explanation for it is I was delusional. I hadn't ridden a motorcycle since 2012, and that was a 3-hour ride to Vermont, stop at a hotel, recover for a day so that I could ride 3 hours home. And while we were at the hotel, my friend OSJ pushed me back and forth to the restaurant on one of those luggage carts. Now this is 2 years further along in my disability, and I really, as I said, I have no idea what was on my mind. I don't know what I was thinking, but I really wanted to go on this ride, and I did everything that I could to make plans to do it. In the beginning, I figured I had a year before we were going to be leaving, and something would happen. I was seeing a new doctor. Somebody would find the cure for me, and I was just going to be able to do this. I so believed that I could do this that I even went out and bought another bike to do it on. How's that for wishful thinking? During all of this, my wife and children kind of humored me. I think that they just figured at some point I would realize what I was doing. They never really discouraged me. They would ask me questions, did you consider this or did you consider that? But I always felt that I could, that I would be able to surmount the challenges. As I said, I was delusional. By the time March of 2015 rolled around, and keep in mind we were supposed to do this in June, Carl started asking me if I had been on my bike yet. Now, we had had a tough winter. In March, it was still cold. We had still snow on the ground, and we were still having storms. So I couldn't try to get on my bike. I mean, I couldn't try to ride my bike, and he kept asking me, have you been on the bike? Have you been on the bike? As June got closer, I think my family started to have more and more concerns. And finally, Sharon said to me, you know, I really don't think this is going to be safe. Now, in the 9 months leading up to this, I had never even considered that because I'd always ridden safe. But those words, I don't think this is going to be safe, made something click. And I started to consider everything that was involved in doing this trip. I didn't even know how I was going to carry my luggage in. I was on crutches. I didn't want to burden Carl with any of that stuff. Not that I could. And I finally had to face reality. I can't do this trip. In episode 2 of 10,000 Mile Miracle, a YouTube search leads me to a miracle worker in Georgia and the answer to my prayers. Thank you for watching this first episode. If you'd like to follow along on the rest of the series, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Hang in there. We're going for a ride.